food fans, welcome to another episode of Then We Eat. On today's episode, we'll be making hot cross buns. Today we're going to be making my mom's recipe of hot cross buns. She used to write them on these little index cards. I don't know if anybody remembers these little cards that your mom and grandma used to write the recipes on. It's going to be a little trickier today because when my mom used to write the recipe, she'd write part of the ingredients and write what you do, and then she'd write more of the ingredients. So it's a little harder to follow the recipe than a traditional one. But we're going to do it anyway. I normally don't make hot cross buns. Normally my mom made them every Easter, and just the smell of the hot cross buns baking on Good Friday just was so good. So let's get started. To our bowl, we're going to add 1 envelope of yeast, which is 2 teaspoons plus 1/4 teaspoon. To that, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of sugar and 1/4 teaspoon of warm water. Now you want your water to be about 110 degrees. You don't really want it any warmer than that or it will kill the yeast. So we're just going to add all of the ingredients. We're going to give it a slight mix, and then we're going to wait about 5 minutes while the yeast bubbles and activates with the sugar. Alright, we're going to give that 5 minutes. We'll see you in 5 minutes after the yeast is bubbled. Welcome back. It's been 5 minutes. Our yeast is bubbling. Now it's time to add the rest of our ingredients for this next step. To our bowl, we're going to add 1.5 cups of scalded milk. And scalded milk is milk that has been brought up to a temperature of about 180 degrees, which is just below a rolling boil. And then it's cooled back down again. My milk is at about 120 right now. So it's the perfect temperature for what we're just going to do. So we need 1.5 cups of scalded milk. It goes in with our yeast mixture. And to that, I'm going to add 2.5 cups of flour. We're going to slowly turn this on so we don't have flour everywhere. You want to mix it till all your flour is mixed in and is nice and smooth. It will be a little bit sticky, but that's what you're looking for, is a nice smooth mixture. Give it a little scrape down and continue mixing. Okay, so our mixture is all mixed in. The flour is all incorporated. It looks nice and smooth. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take it off of the stand. We're going to cover it and we're going to let it sit for an hour. Just to kind of let the flour and the yeast all incorporate into each other. So, we'll let it sit for an hour and we'll be back in an hour. See you then. Welcome back. It's been an hour. Our dough has been rising. Let's see how it's going. So here we are. This is what our dough looks like now. It looks pretty good. Now we need to add a few more ingredients to finish off the hot cross buns. Okay, to our mixture, we're going to add 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of softened butter, 1 well-beaten egg. We're going to give this a quick mix before we add the next ingredients. That looks well incorporated. I'm just going to mix it, scrape it off the sides. Okay, now to this mixture, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of salt, another cup of flour, and 1 cup of raisins. Now, if you find that your raisins are dry and hard, you can just put them in a cup of boiling water for about an hour, and that will plump your raisins back up again. We'll give this a quick mix. Okay, that looks pretty good. Your mixture is still going to be a little sticky. That's all right. Now we're going to knead for 5 to 10 minutes to make sure that it's all smooth and elasticy. We'll bring in our flour, and then we'll put our dough out onto our floured surface. Okay, so now we've got our dough out on the cutting board. Now we're going to knead for between 5 and 10 minutes. So what we're looking to do is to get it nice and smooth and elasticy and not quite so sticky. If it gets sticky, just make sure that you add a little bit more flour. Use the palms and push your dough away. Give it a quarter of a turn. Use your palms and push your dough away. And just keep repeating that. If your dough gets sticky, just add a little bit more flour to your cutting board. Well, welcome back. Our dough has been kneaded, it's nice and smooth, and it's ready for the next step. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover it with some oil and put it into a greased pan and let it rise for another hour. So into the pan it goes. We'll just swish her around and then flip it over, and we'll cover it for another hour. So we'll be back in an hour after this is risen. Welcome back. Our hot cross buns have been rising for about an hour. Now we're ready to turn them into rolls. So our dough is doubled. Give it a punch. That wasn't much of a punch. Bring it out on our surface. I'm going to cut this up into smalls. I'm going to try and figure out how much of the mixture that I need, so it's going to be a trial and error for the first couple until I figure out how much I need for a ball. Okay, so I'm going to be cutting these into about 2.5 ounces each, and then we'll make them into balls. Okay, so I've got some of my dough cut here. We're just going to form them into balls. We're just going to give them a quick little knead, pull all of the dough up to the middle, turn them over. It's kind of fold it up between your hand to push all the dough to the bottom. And then just give them a quick little roll. And there's your little hot cross bun. I think I've got all the raisins on the bottom. When you're done making them into balls, you're going to put them on either a greased cookie sheet or one with parchment paper. I'm using parchment paper on mine. You don't want to just put them on a cookie sheet without any oil or anything down, or they will stick and you won't get them back up. I'm going to carry on and we'll let you know when we're all done. Okay, we're just doing up the last of our rolls. I ended up getting 19 rolls out of this mixture. So there's all our hot cross buns. Now we're going to place them on our parchment cookie sheet, and they're going to be about 1 inch apart. So now we're going to cover these and we're going to let them rise again. I'm assuming that it's going to be about an hour. I'll come back and check after about half an hour. We'll let you know where we're at. So these are going to rise and they're going to double. We'll be back when they're ready to be cooked. And welcome back. Our hot cross buns have been resting for about an hour. They've doubled in size. Now they're ready to be cooked. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little mixture. This is just flour and water. We're just going to add a little cross before they go in the oven, and this should put a little cross on them while they're cooking. So I'll just go ahead and put these crosses on the hot cross buns, and then they're ready for the oven. Normally when my mom made these, she used to cut across in using a razor blade. I've not really had very much luck doing that, so we're going to try it this way. Alright, so they all have the crosses on them. Now we'll put them in the oven, 375 for 20 minutes. We'll see you after they're baked. Welcome back. Our hot cross buns have been cooking in the oven for 20 minutes. They're ready to come out. Let's take them out. Now the last thing we need to do is just to brush them with a little bit of sugar water and put them back in the oven for 2 minutes. This is going to give them the nice crunchy coating on the outside of the top of the buns. Give it a nice shine. So we'll do the first one, put them back in the oven, then we'll do the second pan. So this is just sugar and water that I've mixed up. Trust me, it's got sugar in there. They smell amazing. Alright, so I've got the first ones ready. We'll pop these back in the oven and I'll do the second one, the second pan, while I'm waiting for the first pan. By the time I got the second pan done, these will be ready to come out of the oven. Be right back. We'll put this pan back in the oven. And I think our first pan is done now. And there they are. Our hot cross buns are done. They look and they smell amazing. When I was little and my mom used to make them, she used to make what we called a hot cross sauce for the top. It was just icing, sugar, and milk, and you just put it across the little cross and it just dripped down. I'm not going to do that for today, but I should try one, make sure that they're all right. They're still very warm. It smells amazing. Let's try it. So good. They're just as I remembered them. I do think when my mom made them, she put a little bit more love in hers than I did, but they're still really good. It takes me back to when I was a little girl, when she used to make the hot cross buns on Good Friday. Nice, flaky, fantastic flavor, lots of raisins, and perfect. So if you like this video, hit the like button, share with all your friends, comment down below. Do you make hot cross buns? If you do you put something different in yours? Let us know. And remember, first we cook, then we eat. So good.